My name is Matt Gossard. I'm the director of the Champions Network, and today we're talking about some signs of addiction. And really going back and thinking about when I was in my addiction, some of the things and the signs that I was portraying that my loved ones and my parents possibly could have caught on to maybe intervene and to really look for and understand some of the things that I was doing that were leading me into my drug problems and into my addictions. There's anything from simple things like spoons missing. So we understand that heroin addicts, they use spoons to cook the heroin. And I've spoken with many mothers and parents and that have noticed that there are spoons missing from their cabinets. When we're thinking about addicts and when they're going through this addiction, how their behavior changes very erratically, and it changes very quickly. When you notice that your loved one has changed their behavior so drastically within a short amount of time, it would be a good idea to really sit down with them and try to talk with them about what's going on. But when you do that, oftentimes you'll get very evasive answers and they'll try to shut you down. Oftentimes when you're talking to your loved one and you're really trying to, out of compassion, understand what's going on in their lives and understand why these drastic changes are taking place, you'll get a lot of evasiveness, a lot of quick answers, and you might get a lot of anger. And those are all signs of addiction. When you're asking your loved one about, hey, how are you doing, or why are you doing this, oftentimes the person going through that will answer with anger, and that's not normal. So when we look at these things and all these signs, none of these things are normal. None of these things usually happen with a person that's not going through addiction. So it's important that we really understand these signs to be able to step in and intervene. It's just a way for the addict to try to push you off of what they're doing, to not be able to hide what they're doing anymore. You really have to stick with it as a parent or as a wife or as a husband, a loved one of a person that's going through addiction. Don't give up. You have to keep on them. And if they tell you, I'm fine, keep digging. If they give you short answers, tell them to explain more. And a lot of times they won't want to give you answers, and sometimes it's okay to show your loved one tough love. That doesn't mean that you don't love them. It actually means that you probably love them more. By sometimes giving them that tough love that they don't want to hear, you might be saving their life. So there's so many different signs to look for when someone's going through addiction, and a lot of it has to do with behavior. There are also physical signs as well. If you notice that your loved one is wearing long sleeves during a hot summer day, more than likely they're trying to cover up track marks on their arms. So check for those things. Have them lift their sleeves up so you can look at their arms, and if you see dots going down their arms along a vein, almost 100% of the time that's going to be because they're using heroin or anything that they're using to shoot up in their veins, and that's very dangerous, and you're going to have to put a stop to that. You're going to have to intervene on that. So we just want to help you to understand some of these signs and some of these physical signs that are going on. If you notice that your loved one's health is really starting to deteriorate, that doesn't always mean that they're in addiction, but it could be an explanation for that. If they're not eating correctly, if they're not eating regularly, that could be because they're using drugs, and a lot of times many different drugs will cause an addict to change their eating behaviors. If they just seem distant almost all the time, they're not showing up to family functions, they're not showing up to obligations that they've made to you before. When it comes to addiction, there is no sense of obligation. There is no sense of showing up when you say that you're going to show up. The drug always comes first. It comes first before family. It comes first before even themselves, of taking care of themselves.